Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Stefan Kudoke of Germany was, once upon a time, one of the most polarizing watchmaker artisans in the business. He would focus on themes that were sometimes natural, octopus, panda, portrayed in Baroque, unrestrained fashion, limitless indulgence with engraving and skeletonization to a point that left almost no surface untreated by the artisan's hand. And not everyone saw the world through Kudoke's eyes. So unless you were right on the same wavelength as Kudoke, those watches tended to be love-hate pieces. This part of a series debuted in 2019 was the watch that really made Kudoke one of the hottest properties in independent watchmaking. So in 2019, German watchmaker Stefan Kudoke created the Kudoke 1 and Kudoke 2. This is the Kudoke 2, essentially a two-hand watch with a day-night indicator. It's 39 millimeters in diameter in a stainless steel case, 46.1 millimeters from lug to lug, and 12.3 millimeters thick with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. This is a less is more type watch, and less includes the size. It's an easy watch to wear, easily sliding underneath a dress cuff or a tight sleeve. My 16 centimeter circumference wrist, nowhere near at the limit here. You can see the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. Over the top always exaggerates the width of a watch. Go by this angle. Plenty of space between the lug and the edge of my wrist. I believe you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, maybe even 13 and a half if your wrist is very flat across the top. Now, don't get too caught up in this strap here, because unless you're a fan of fake, this is going to be swapped out for the genuine article when you buy the watch. We sometimes use fake alligator if we are shipping watches between our international offices to avoid problems with CITES treaties. But if you have a compassionate heart for beasts of many teeth and an eye for quality, I would say realistically this is a great way to wear the watch. The strap will last forever, and it is genuinely made by hand by Jean Rousseau in Paris, meaning it is an artisanal strap from a brand that makes the OEM straps for Journe and de Bethune, among others. You might want to just keep it. We have a Kudoke stainless steel pin buckle right here, and then the case itself, fairly simple. Blended lugs. You can see everything's polished. We have a triple gadroon, that is triple-stepped domed bezel. We have a slightly boxed and domed sapphire. We have a Kudoke-branded onion-style crown, a very traditional pocket watch-like flourish with media blast and polish. We have a dial that Kudoke describes as pearl mutt. There is also a Tahitian black mother-of-pearl option, but this is white mother-of-pearl, which is a little bit lighter, airier, and doesn't create quite the same range of color refraction that you get with black mother-of-pearl. Outboard, there is a lovely track that is both mirror beveled on its sides and satinated across its top. The same is true of the track for the day-night indicator as well as the nameplate. Kudoke bluing these hands, including one in his signature Infinity 8. The Infinity 8 appears on both the dial and the case back of the watch, as you can see surrounding the fixing screw for the balance cock, the exact same engraved pattern. Now the dial has a engraved disc showing the sun and the moon. One is plated with white gold, the other is plated with yellow gold, and it moves at half the speed of the hands at center. It's not a second time zone. It is simply a day-night indicator, so you know whether you were looking at 12 midnight right here or 12 noon. You can see it is clearly 12 midnight. Now, one of the quirks here is that there is a dead clutch position for the crown in between winding and setting. So that's one of the only pieces of constructed criticism I've got here. Constructive criticism, eliminate the dead spot in the clutching of the keyless works, but everything else is superb, and you really can't complain when the watch looks this good. German made with a movement that's properly sized for the case at 30 millimeters in diameter. You could see what is called the combination movement. So you can get this watch with a fully engraved primary plate for the train, the barrel, and the keyless works, or you can get it with a fully engraved balance cock, or you can get the combination in which all of it is engraved, and this is the combination, basically the most you can order. Taking a look at the engraving, you can see how rich it is, and then we have chiseling in between the flourishes and the banknote scrolling. On the edges of the bridge, although there are very few edges to these bridges, you could see mirrored anglage. It is rounded and polished by hand. We have both mirror finished screws and fire blued screws. We have satination on the bridge for the escapement anchor, and then media blast on the base plate. You can also see double solarization for the ratchet wheel atop the barrel, satination, beveling, and freehand engraving on the nameplate. And then we have this lovely beveled and satinated click, a beautiful movement. I will admit it's not strictly speaking Kudoke's own. This is actually a Habring A11, which in turn is Richard Habring's conversion of the core of a Valjoux 7750. So if you take the chronograph off the 7750 top and you take the automatic system off the bottom of the movement, you're left with this core, which is a manual wind, 4 hertz, yes, hacking, and I say that because it has no seconds hand, but it is a 7750 core, and that's exactly what the A11 is. And you can also see something that's very important to me, which is that a high-grade balance and hairspring are used here. You know they come in pairs. When you see those splayed spokes rather than straight spokes on a ETA balance, the splayed spokes are used for top and chronometer grade. Just something to keep in mind. Now, in terms of tech specs, very similar to the movement that spawned it. So manual wind, 46-hour power reserve, 4 hertz, stop seconds, 18 joules, 30 millimeters in diameter, so it properly fills this case back. And it's a good-looking movement. If you didn't know, it's a bald and decapitated 7750. No one would be any the wiser, in all this 30 meters water resistant, so don't go swimming with it. But a watch you can wear all the time and in any company, and unlike Kudoke's previous work, this 2019 Petite Aiguille winning GPHG laureate is broadly admired and puts a smile on almost every face. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability.